name is Isabella Greene. Welcome to my channel. Today I would like to alert you about two very common mistakes that people do while they perform their inner healing work. And I see this happening so often that I feel that it's important to share what happens and also how to avoid these mistakes. And I'd like to give you real-life examples of what it is that I'm talking about. So example number one, someone was working on injustice. They experienced a lot of injustice, or they perceived a lot of injustice in their early days and throughout their life. And then they decided that it was time to clear that injustice so that they would not be experiencing that same pattern over and over again, or experiencing that injustice over and over again. And so with incredible vigor and dedication, they focused their attention on injustice for 3 months. And they started digging up all of the cases of injustice that they experienced in their life, this real life, past lives. They started remembering past lives and hundreds of past lives. And the next day there were more past lives that were shown where all of that injustice was happening. And at some point they reached out to me saying, "Oh my God, I cannot take it because injustice is everywhere and I am freaking out." Understandably so. And so in this particular case, what took place was the law of the universe, which says what we focus on gets bigger. If you dedicate your focused attention for 3 months to the same subject, to the same feeling, the same state of being, you're going to indeed see that everywhere. This is a very simple concept. For example, if you wish to check that for yourself, focus your attention on, let's say, a red car, and literally go around for 3 days seeking out the red car. And after 3 days, you're going to notice that red car everywhere. This is the function of the human brain, that it filters out what is irrelevant and it filters in what we focus on or what we seem to want. And so in this particular case, when the person with the highest intention to assist themselves and to move past the instances of injustice started focusing on injustice, digging up injustice, directing their attention into the memories, and all over, just that injustice just became their state of being. That injustice seemed to grow and overwhelm them to the point that they didn't know what to do. And I will give you a recommendation on what to do when something like that happens at the end of this video. But here's the second case. The second example is when the person was processing the trauma from their earlier years, and they experienced very traumatic situations where they experienced a lot of fear and anxiety. And so they decided to dedicate themselves to clearing these experiences out of their system, looking at them and clearing. And they focused on these experiences so strongly that they recreated the experiences in their physical form. They started experiencing the fear and anxiety. And, well, that's the beginning of the process. But they continued doing that for the entire month or so, and they ended up in a state of being where when nothing is happening at all to cause anxiety or fear, but their body is terrified. The body started producing what she described as balls of that energy that just continuously kept moving through her stomach and causing pain, and that squeeze when you experience that incredible fear. And she didn't know what to do now, because even when nothing was happening at all, she was just sitting there, but that feeling was constantly there. And she started going into almost the panicky mode, or the mode of that high anxiety. And here's something that I want to explain. Our brains don't know whether we are actually thinking about events or if the events are actually happening to us. But when we're thinking about events or events are happening to us, we're producing the chemistry. The body produces chemical response to every thought that we have, especially to traumatic experiences. When we had traumatic experiences, we're focusing on them to the point that we're reliving them and we're recreating the chemistry in the body. That chemistry is so intense that if we do this enough times, we're going to get quite literally addicted to that chemistry, and the body is going to just go ahead and start producing that chemistry all by itself. This is absolutely true. You can check with yourself or sit back and think about how often, like, this is how routine is created. Also, how often, for example, if you had something, I don't know, coffee, just didn't have coffee for a long time and then decided to drink coffee, had it 1, 2, 3 days, and all of a sudden you crave it the next day and the next day, and the fourth, fifth day you like want that coffee, right? That's the addiction. The body already decided that this is what you want, this is what you're doing, this is what you're putting into the body, and the body wants more of the same. It's the same with everything. How fast is habitual behavior formed? You do something 3, 4, 5 days in a row, then it just goes right into that unconscious behavior pattern, right? Aware of that? If you've been paying attention, you know that that's how these things happen, and this is how we'll go back to sleep. But with the chemistry of the body, it's the same exact situation, because the body is going to produce a habit of making that same chemistry for you over and over. Oh, you want the fear, you experience that anxiety, you thought about it long enough and enough times per day for the body to produce enough of that chemistry. Next thing you know, the body continues to produce that chemistry even when you're not even thinking about it, but you out of nowhere having a panic attack, or you out of nowhere having an anxiety attack. And so, oh my God, what do we do, right? First of all, here's my recommendation. Here's what worked for me, because I've done a lot of inner healing work, a lot of internal processing of really intense traumatic experiences. So here is what I recommend. Dedicate specific amount of time and take breaks in between. So let's say you become aware of some instance. You become aware, for example, of the instance of injustice, or you become aware of a traumatic experience in your life. Dedicate some time to think about it. So, I don't know, 2 hours max. 2 hours, you sit down, if you want to write that down. I don't recommend writing it down. I recommend just thinking about, okay, so injustice, for example, happened this time. Okay, I remember that very clearly. Oh, you're going to feel awful. So then you take, or abuse, or situation that caused intense fear. That happened. I'm aware of that. Here's the whole line of these experiences. Take it into your meditation. Once you have outlined all these scenarios in your mind, take that into the meditation. Look at that. If you have to cry, if you have to scream, if you have to, whatever way you process, do breath work, pull that energy, pull those memories out of your body with full awareness of what it is that you pull in. This is why you need to remember these experiences, because you need to have awareness of what it is that you're pulling out. So you do that in the meditation or in the altered state, and after this, go into the in-between, the neutral state, where you are able to kind of become an observer, step out and look at these situations, be like, okay, that's happened and it's done. It's done. The number one knowing here, it's no longer. And then bring yourself into the state of well-being. This is what meditation is wonderful for. So if you spend the first part of your meditation with this intensity, bring yourself into the state of well-being, the present moment. Oh, it's over, and I am returning. I'm pulling in that state of peace, the state of knowing that I am the creator of my experience, the state of knowing that all of that is in the past and will never happen again because I have evolved enough not to go there ever again. Whatever it takes for you to convince yourself that it is done and over with and you are in the peaceful state, and then let the meditation take you wherever you go. If you go into the void, that's fantastic. If you go into just relaxed, beautiful state, finish that process in with returning to the state of calmness and well-being and knowing that all is well. And if more situations come up, follow the same process, but do not walk around thinking about what you process in 24/7 for 3 months or a month or even 2 weeks. I believe that being in charge of how much time you spend and given like a refractory period, short period where you're going to allow yourself to experience these emotions, but then you're going to bring yourself right back to the calm, relaxed, present moment when none of that is happening, so that the body does not get hooked into pulling in more of these experiences and showing them to you, or producing that chemistry that is so uncomfortable, or was so uncomfortable back then, and oh my God, why is it happening now again? So I hope that this is a suggestion that is helpful for you. A lot of people nowadays are doing their inner healing work. It's a well-known fact that we need to do that. These are the very common mistakes because we go into that, we want to clear it all and focus on it and give our full attention, but remember that the body and the mind have their peculiarities and they're going to produce side effects if you focus on the things too much or allow too much of that chemistry to happen. So moderation in this process as well. Very controlled, very scheduled process where you dedicate the time to look at the things and let them move through you, let them move out, let yourself experience them, but then always bringing yourself back into the state of the present moment where none of that is taking place. All right. Thank you for following me. Please subscribe to my YouTube channel. I bring you all kinds of information on this channel. I love you. Take care now. Namaste.